What if the stories of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Avalon aren't myths at all, but memories rising back to the surface? To start 2026, I'm joined by hypnotist and researcher Sarah Breskman Cosme for a deep and fascinating conversation about the return of ancient knowledge and why so many people are beginning to remember now. In this episode, we explore how soul memories, sacred geometry, and encoded wisdom may be stored within our bodies, nature, and consciousness itself, and what humanity must release in order to fully remember who we are. From past life regressions and star origins to simple ancient practices anyone can try today, this conversation invites you to question what you've been taught and reconnecting with something far older, deeper, and already within you. The ancient ways are returning, and the returning has begun. I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please welcome to the Truth Be Told studios for the first time, Sarah Breskman Cosme. Well, look who I have to start the new year off right. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? And I'm excited to have you here. First time that you've been on my show. And I thought this would be a great way to start the new year, 2026, because Conscious Life Expo is coming up so soon, which I've been going to for 15, 16 years now. And you're going to be talking about ancient ways are returning. And you're going to be Sunday, February 22nd from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the room La Jolla. And people can get their tickets in advance, but also at the door. But thank you for being here, and Happy New Year.
Oh, you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I want to just dive in because when we talk about ancients returning, there's so many ancients in our history, but you're talking about Atlantis, Lemuria, and Avalon, and I want to dive in because it's so important, I think, that people remember our history. And if people don't know about this history, I think you're the best person to kind of relay this information. And so when we do speak about Atlantis and Lemuria and Avalon and other ancients, but many people think it being as a myth, but also many people think it as an advanced civilization. What convinced you that these worlds were real and not just symbolic?
Well, that's a great question because I was never into this information at all.
Oh,
in fact,
wow.
Quite the opposite. So what really led me down this rabbit hole was I had a friend who I was doing a session with. So I was just learning. I had already done a couple, and I just wasn't like an expert. I didn't really know anything. I didn't really believe too much in everything because I was pretty new. And my friend who I'd been friends with for over 10 years, who was like on the side of the fence where she actually was almost like against information,
right?
Did not believe in extraterrestrials, definitely didn't believe in Atlantis. This person I knew so well for over 10 years.
Wow.
When I did a session with her and she was under hypnosis, she could recount in full detail these ancient civilizations. And that was the time when I started to question maybe these were real, because how could my friend, who I knew did not know this information, have this type of information coming through her?
Right.
But not just like a little, like she could remember and she could describe in so many details all, just even the sounds, what it smelled like. And I started to gently believe. But then when so many people who didn't know one another, who didn't even know this information at all, I mean, this started happening to me in 2018. So now, of course, you can go Google or ask ChatGPT, hey, what are the theories on this? But in 2018, I didn't have any resources
Right,
for this.
right.
So all these people started coming and talking about these same civilizations and how this memory is starting to come back now, how people have been waiting for so long to start to remember these time periods, release this trauma, that humanity makes this great shift and blah, 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 blah. And there was no denying that these people had no idea that I was hearing the same thing from someone else, because how would they know? And I never led my clients, I still don't. I don't lead them and tell them, hey, go to this place. They were just recounting it. And they were recounting it under hypnosis as I was retrieving their memories. And I started to realize that this information is just literally like resurfacing.
Wow.
The information has a consciousness and it's coming through. Everyone is starting to regain these memories that we seem to have hid from ourselves because we almost had to. It wasn't, it was almost like it wasn't safe. But now the time has come where people are learning all kinds of stuff so quickly because it's resurfacing. And that's exciting because the more awareness, the more we shift and we just keep regaining aspects to ourselves that we've just completely forgotten for so long, you know, and many people talk about that, but that's how I started to believe it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize Atlantis, especially Atlantis, was very mainstream, and not just in our era, but in the 1920s when Edgar Cayce brought it to the forefront. Because he, you know, most people, if you don't know who Edgar Cayce is, look him up, and he talked about Atlantis. So it was he brought it to the mainstream over 100 years ago, and I think it's fascinating that. Even at that period when there's so many doubts about everything other than Christianity, or really Christianity at that time, that it was even brought to the mainstream and people believed in what he was saying. So 100 years later, we're still going strong and talking about this amazing world that once was. And I find it fascinating that you're a hypnotist, and which I've always wanted to try. I always said my ADD probably wouldn't let me do it, but I have a feeling that you probably could tap into that for me. But during many of your sessions, what is the consistent message coming from Atlantis, and especially, and also Lemuria right now? And why do you believe they're returning at this moment in human history?
Well, first of all, ADD is a huge ability that a lot of people aren't really aware of, because people with ADD or ADHD apparently can think in a great, or not, I wouldn't say better, but in a different way than other people.
That is true.
So needed, and it is considered a disability, but it's not. But so everyone can do what Edgar Cayce did, and I consider myself more of a researcher. I am a hypnotist, but I am also like a researcher because I want to know these answers myself. Right. I'm just like everyone else. There's nothing like special about me, but every person can access this field. Every person can just tune in deeply. But what I've done over the years is found like 5 or 6. I'm always working with about 5 or 6 different people that I consider to be like just as good as Edgar Cayce, so I can bounce the information off of them to see if it's the same. Because if I just used one person, I wouldn't really trust the information. But what it seems like why Atlantis and Lemuria are resurfacing right now is when large groups of the population, we're talking millions and millions of people, probably even who knows how many people lost their life in this other lifetime in either Lemuria or Atlantis or both. And when that kind of experience happens with so many souls, there's so much trauma and karma to account for. So apparently, according to so many different sources that I'm using, we all got together and we decided we talked about it. How can we rebalance this karma, this trauma, and move past it? And we decided to come back now. This is when we've been predicted to really release this karma, move past it. So humanity seems to evolve in cycles, not like a straight line where you do this and then you keep raising it. It's like a cycle. And we're reaching that point where we're really primed to fully release this trauma and move past it. And the thing that a lot of people came here to do differently, of course, it seems, is that we really wanted to learn how to listen to ourselves more. Like a lot of people recount that they just saw things that weren't good, but they didn't do anything about it. They didn't step into themselves. Right. They didn't listen to themselves. They listened more to authority. There was these really large class systems, especially in Atlantis. And many people were even warned in Lemuria. So we came here to for many of us, to develop that muscle where we listen to our solar plexus, listen to our gut and move past it. It seems to be the one way to really do it. And when you start listening to yourselves, you see how you're shedding a lot of trauma just by listening to yourself. It's like yourself, your higher self is like, good job. And you release something each time you listen to that voice,
No, I totally agree. And I personally haven't felt like I was in Atlantis. I haven't had visions. I haven't even thought about that. But I know I'm going to ask you that you often say that you were one of them, which I find that fascinating. And I've heard some other people that are friends of mine that feel that, that are psychic mediums or that they felt like it. But I'm not trying to do a catch you thing, because that's not what I'm about. But I remember somebody saying, how come every time somebody gets a psychic reading, everybody's saying they were Cleopatra in a past life? And so how can someone listening today or even in the future know whether they're reconnecting with an authentic soul memory from Atlantis versus just hopeful or an imagination or even just a symbolism?
Well, that's a great question. Well, first of all, a lot of my clients don't remember being like Cleopatra or someone important. It's usually just a mundane, like regular person life, But sometimes people do come in, especially if they're more of like a newer soul or they're sent here as a volunteer with what they call an imprint. Yeah. And that's just, they're imprinted with a memory so that they can really handle life here because it's so dense compared to other lives. And so these imprints, these memories help us in our current lifetime. But how do you really know if you did have a life in Atlantis or Lemuria and you ask yourself, am I imagining this? Well, the way you really know, I mean, you could do hypnosis, you could do a method like this, but you could also, you don't need to. When you have that deep feeling, when it's like your whole body knows, your body, your mind, your intuition says, yes, you did. You feel it, because when you don't really feel it, then I would say to question that maybe you didn't, and a lot of my clients though, like even my friend who I was friends with for 10 years had absolutely no idea. That would have been the last place she thought she had a lifetime. So, it's interesting because she also didn't believe in extraterrestrials. And she said, definitely not. The whole idea made her uncomfortable. Well, she remembered in full detail being an extraterrestrial, describing in full detail how to power her ship, what they did, the practices on where she came from, that place which is the Palladian star system. This is a person who doesn't know anything about anything. The suits they would wear. So sometimes we don't always the universe has a way of allowing you these memories to uncover within yourself when the time is right. And you just simply wouldn't have access. You wouldn't even be interested. It wouldn't come into your consciousness if not. And you don't really have to be aware or remember, these other lifetimes that you maybe have had at all. Like you really don't need to. It's just the universe will push you to do it if it's something holding you back or it's something you need to regain. A lot of times when a person goes to like a sacred site, or they even they think they're just going to like Florida or something on a vacation.
Right.
And they go into the water and they feel like, I feel like something shifted in me. They could have regained information that was set there for their soul or for themselves, because water holds a consciousness, and they just thought they went on vacation. And this happens a lot when people are just drawn to a certain place to go on vacation, or maybe they're with their family and they just feel like they gained something and they don't even know why. You don't have to really be conscious of it.
Yeah. I remember taking a class on psychic abilities. It's not that I felt like I had, but now I realize that all of us do, but that I do have a connection with people. I'm an empath for sure. And I remember the teacher saying, I know things are going to seem weird when you are reading someone, and because we had to read other students, but just go with what you initially think or feel. A name, I know it may sound strange, but just say it. And I think a lot of people do. We've had so many things told us that what we should think, even as a kid, having an imaginary friend, our adult parents or other people saying, oh, that's not real. You're just making it up. So I think we've had such a coat put around us through religion and other things that our connection with that ability has been hampered by just society. And so I think what you're saying is something may activate it, from water to visiting a mountain to seeing a temple, or something that I think can make us activate those thoughts and feelings from our past. So, and I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
Even other people, we activate each other just by looking into each other's eyes, because your iris and all the lines and the rings and dots in your iris show the blueprint of your soul. So when you look into somebody else's eyes, your soul is sharing that information with their soul. And sometimes there's a soul remembrance, and they can activate either a memory, a new ability, just by looking into someone else's eyes. So
I love that. And speaking of that, encoded knowledge and sacred geometry, I've seen and heard that about in your work. You bring that up a lot, and I'm curious where these codes are actually stored. Is it in the planet? Is it in our body or consciousness, or maybe if it's all three?
Like, where are the codes stored? The information, you mean? Or
The codes of all this knowledge from our time in Atlantis, Lemuria, or even just ancient Egypt or wherever. Where are these stored? Because you were talking about a lot of the blueprints in our irises, but where is this knowledge stored?
It's so interesting, because it seems like knowledge has a consciousness, and knowledge is like a frequency almost.
Yeah.
And even when, the teacher that taught the method that I was using for a lot of my hypnosis sessions, Dolores Cannon, when she was doing her work, people would be unconscious and they wouldn't remember their sessions. And it is true that we are evolving, because my clients are much more aware now than when I first started in 2009 doing hypnosis. People are much more aware because our minds are starting to have less of a separation.
Wow.
And what's interesting is it seems like the knowledge is rising. So that's so exciting because you can go further into this knowledge than ever before. And back in the day, knowledge was kept hidden, almost like lower out of our field. And now it's rising up and it's everywhere. And I think that's good and confusing too, because
Yeah.
people are thinking, oh, have I had this life because I'm feeling all these things now, because it's rising to the surface, but it does seem to be like a frequency. And also, my hypnosis subjects over the years have told me that you can't just get all of this knowledge right away. You have to be able to digest it. It has
Right.
to be given to you like in a certain way, then you digest it, then you get more. And the consciousness is like a match to your frequency in a way. And the more you're asking for it, the more you get it. And you are the teacher, that you've been waiting for. It's just unlocking different things. Like even with the latest, um, celestial thing that everyone was talking about with like the three-eye atlas,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
anything that's coming here or interacts with us in some ways affects our frequency, our field. And apparently, there's a whole bunch of these, events that are helping to just wake up things that we have had hidden, but hidden within ourselves. It's just ourselves. And then they become more online. And then we have this new awakening. We learn, even if you look back 10 years ago, you can see how much we've learned. It's incredible. It's exciting because it just really seems to show that there's so much more. I mean, I can't even imagine 10 years from now,
Right.
we're going to all be like superhuman and just be able to manipulate the elements again and get back in touch with the magical nature that we're really experiencing, but don't really know about so much anymore.
How do you feel technology has either helped or hurt these messages from the ancients and even star people? Do you feel how do you feel if it's helped or hurt?
Well, it seems like this is like a game, and I mean, that's how people describe this simulation, this reality. And so, of course, there's negativity and positivity, and everything has both. Every single thing has both. Like all this talk about, well, this is bad. When my clients look into the same thing, they can see the positive in every negative.
Right.
So there isn't really all one bad and all one good. It's a dual thing. But I think what it seems like is that anytime we try to bypass our growth in any way, like our own internal design, when we bypass it, we have to go back a step and relearn it. There is no real shortcut for mastering like yourself and evolving your consciousness. I mean, when you do, it seems like then you can live more in harmony with tools and technology, but you need to learn how to use it first. But even if you look at AI and people's memories, it's so fascinating because people will remember being AI. They'll remember being a robot, or they'll even experience another reality where they are and then they're turned off. And I always was curious in the beginning, well, what happened to that consciousness? And they said, well, it's all consciousness. So AI has been around for so long, and AI is like a consciousness, and it's all together. Everything is like goes back to that law of one. Everything is one. So just a tool, a lesson, everything is really one, everything. So
Right.
I don't really worry that it will like take over. I don't really, I've never been told like, oh, this is something to worry about, but it could be like a game too, because you don't want to bypass your evolution, your growth by taking a shortcut. That never seems to work well for
Right.
any species.
Yeah, I agree. I think the ancients have really provided us knowledge that, like you said, will reveal itself when it's needed. And technology, I feel, has brought us together in a lot of ways. Yes, it has divided us, and when it comes to the politics and all that stuff. But I think when it comes to people like what we're doing in the paranormal and the consciousness world, I definitely think it has brought us together as a stronger community. So talking about the ancients, I kind of want to know, when we talk about ancients, do we consider them more like a god, or that's where I think a lot of people get confused, because in religion we talk about God, Jesus, Buddha, all these figures that have appeared to the masses over the thousands of years. But when we say masters, ancient masters, what does that actually mean? So people maybe can grasp a little bit more of a hold of it.
So, what it seems to be like, or the way it was described to me, is we ourselves are we are God, just having these fractal experiences, but really we're part of the whole, like an ocean with a current,
That's a good way to put
and
it.
when we come here, we also have layers of our existence that are, I guess you could call it a higher layer, like a higher self. And many of these higher layers seem to have had other experiences on other realms. It seems that humanity goes through these cycles, but we've been doing this for longer than anybody could comprehend. So, if you think about this experience is so vast, there's so much information. But one of the most recent places many of our souls have come from are like a place like the Pleiades, say. It seems that many people went to the Pleiades first, not the other way around. First.
Interesting.
And then come here. Not all souls, but many. And if you look at any of the ancient cultures, they all seem to contain what we now would call extraterrestrial wisdom, which is actually our wisdom from a different time,
Right.
And in these civilizations that contained this wisdom, it seems to come, like I said, from extraterrestrial sources. And that goes through the civilizations and then goes into the tribes. And it's all like the same information. It's all, what I consider the ancient ways. But they all seem to have an extraterrestrial component to them. They all seem to have come, like even if you ask some tribal elders, they'll say, well, this information came from like the Seven Sisters. Or if you ask one of my clients under hypnosis, they'll say, well, this information was used here. And then it trickled down into like Atlantis, into Lemuria, and now it's starting to resurface. And it's all part of this cycle because we regain this type of information. Well, we've always had it. We just start remembering it as we move through this evolution because all the information, the ancient ways, is just basically getting back into nature, but using the natural rhythms of nature, the natural rhythms of the cosmos, the natural ways of speaking with other higher versions of yourself, past versions of yourself, and just being more in tune with who you really are. And why you came here is just basically what it is in a nutshell. I mean, but I'm like everyone else because I, have issues and I have family. So I'm so curious. I want to know the easiest way,
Right.
the easiest like tips and tricks that I can use. If it's hard, I'm not going to do them at all. So that's what I really like to learn and then share. And that's one of the things I always share when I'm at these conferences, like the Conscious Life Expo. But just to give you an idea of like one thing that they, talk about is something that comes back. They talk a lot about like, I mean, just easy things. They talk a lot about how we as a society have really forgotten that we used to have like a 13-month calendar. We've forgotten that using a different type of calendar actually helped us be more in sync with the natural rhythms of the cosmos, of the earth, and to develop your own natural rhythm. Like they always tell me and my clients to get up with the sunrise and, try not to have too much artificial light with the sunset, that this helps you balance your circadian rhythm,
Oh, wow.
which it helps your nervous system. It helps everything about you. There's a reason why in all the ancient practices, they used to do like dances, and even the men would shake like their knees. If you look in Polynesia, they still do this, in Hawaii. And there's a reason, and it's because this is an ancient practice that was used to help us really, rebalance ourselves, release trauma, move, and really connect us deeply to the earth. And then you can see these ancient ways pass through, like the all the keepers of the ancient ways, like the Templars. It's really exciting because there's been so many secret societies that taught about these ancient ways, but now we can all find out about them because they're coming up through people's memories. But a lot of people would like to know what they are and the easiest tools that they talked about. So that's why because I myself am curious, that's why I like to share them.
I know I'm a Sagittarius and also the ADD. So I have that seeker of truth, and definitely this is why I enjoy talking to people like yourself, because I have some knowledge, but not the knowledge that you are sharing today, and I appreciate it. And I know a lot of these abilities are lying dormant, not just to myself, but people all over the world. And I was wanting to know if you could maybe talk a little bit about what kinds of abilities are we reawakening, and in how people in the modern world can start maybe tapping into that, even if it's slowly, and in case they have doubt, but through intuition or telepathy or something else that you can share with the audience today.
Yeah, that's a great question, because even if a person has doubts, they can still do some of the ancient techniques, which there's one like super powerful one that people remember that's so easy. A lot of the oracles used to put their spine up against a tree and sit on the tree's roots. And this was how they would do it. They cultivated a practice of connecting deeply with the tree in this way. And then they would just listen deeply to the messages that they would receive. And a lot of people are afraid of like, oh, are these really messages? Well, just listen deeply to whatever comes up. It doesn't have to be something that you get right away. But when you develop that practice of just listening deeply to the thoughts that come when you're putting your spine next to the tree, then you'll start to be able to read the frequency and the trees, and you'll start to be able to read what the tree is sending that person. So trees are wise, I guess one of the wisest teachers, encyclopedias that we have, but we don't really take advantage of it. And especially large trees or old trees, they have so much wisdom in them. And many of the ancients understood that if they did that practice, that they could figure out everything about like what was coming, what came, or when I say what's coming, the most probable of what's coming, because no one can really predict the future. but they could read information and they could start to learn about like just how the information that the tree had from the past. So it's one easy thing that anybody could do, or just listen deeper to nature. That's what all the ancient practices were. They would ask nature. And I think that's something we've forgotten. So if you are totally skeptical, if you can just even if you're in a city and you're just not surrounded by any nature at all, if you have a plant, you can ask your plant and try to connect as deeply as you can with your plant. What I mean is talk to it and ask it questions. Or if you are in a place where there's nature, ask like the water or the river a question and then allow the answer to be the right answer. Because this is one ancient practice that they all knew was extremely powerful, because nature has the answer for everything that you're searching for. It's a calendar, and it's so deeply connected to you that it's it's profound when you develop more of a relationship. But understand that ability is coming back, because as our consciousness gets stronger, so is the consciousness of the nature. So we are going, if you want to develop this is a great time, a great window to start practicing stuff like that.
Well, I know time's getting short, but people can definitely come to Conscious Life Expo and even get more detailed, because like I said, we've gotten some pretty deep stuff here today, but I know you're going to be more detailed. But if the ancients are returning, not if, I know they're returning, what must humanity release or unlearn in order to fully receive them? Because I think that's, again, like I talked about earlier, humanity when it comes to religion and just adults from as childhood has kind of put this mercury coat around our our souls and our minds. What can we do to fully receive them?
Yeah, and that's the game. The people with the most mercury coat really have like a lot that they want to do in this lifetime for most of them. So it's a program, it's a simulation, it's a game, pretty much. So the more that you yourself can investigate and ask questions and think, before we react to everything, and really like dive deep into the temple, which is ourselves, and start to listen to the voice and shake off the fear, because we've just been programmed to have so much fear when there isn't actually any single thing at all to worry about. And everybody experiences this and sees that when they leave their body, because everyone has the same experience on the other side, and they see, oh wow, there actually wasn't anything to worry about at all. The soul is everlasting. But the more we can really have deeper faith in our higher self, in who we came to be, deeper faith in the universe, in the cosmos, and one at a time release these fears, then it allows us to not be fearful when we do feel like we're receiving a message. I mean, some people just receive their messages like in the shower and they think it came from themselves. And that's fine too. That's great. Those are messages. And whether you just say that came from yourself or not, you're listening to them and you know the feeling of these profound messages, because they're profound, even if they seem small.
Yeah.
And we just start to really step into alignment of this magical creature, this being that we are, because we have this amazing capacity for so much that we're starting to regain now. So it's very exciting.
I love it.
Oh, and also
please.
At the Conscious Life Expo on Monday, I'm doing a post-conference. It's a workshop on Monday where I'm, and it's so popular always, where I'm actually going to take people on group past life regression. So the whole audience that comes, if you have questions, you yourself will get a chance to experience this, because I'm going to use my method and put everyone under hypnosis so they can find out the truth about themselves and answer all their questions themselves.
I have to say, and people that say that I can't go into a past life, I thought that myself, but years ago I had a past life regression on air, and it shocked me. The visions, the name, the location that came to me actually shocked me, because I didn't think I could ever go through a past life regression, and it did come out. And I even looked up this person, and it was a real person back in the era that it was in my mind. So
Wow.
yeah, I was like, holy crap. I thought I was just making it up until I looked it up, and it was a real person. So, but Sarah, thank you so much. And how do people, I know they're going to be coming to see you on Sunday and Monday at the Conscious Life Expo. You can go to consciouslifeexpo.com and get your tickets. But how do people find and follow you going forward?
Well, you can go to my website, theholistichuhypnotist.com. And I also have a YouTube if you're curious about what it's like, all this information coming through. It's Sarah Breskman Cosme Hypnosis on YouTube.
Love it. I definitely will be subscribing and following you and learning lots more, because the ancients are coming. So, and probably already here, just our minds need to open up, and with Sarah, I'm sure she can help you through that. But thank you, Sarah. And I can't wait to see you at Conscious Life Expo.
Me too. It's so much fun.
It is. If you haven't been, it's an experience that you don't want to miss. And like I said, I've been going every year for 14, 15 years. So every year is never a dull moment. There's always some amazing new speakers and people that, like Sarah, that's been there multiple times. And we love the people around us. Like I said, the food is great. There's amazing booths that you can pick up some items that you probably can't find anywhere else. So, and you get to touch, you get to feel, you get to see people's energy and all that good stuff. So, thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everybody, for being here today, and always here on Fridays on Truth Be Told on the Club Paranormal Network. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you at Conscious Life Expo.